Hello everyone, this is Professor Capko again. Tonight we're going to talk about exponents and the product rule. Alright, this rule you're going to find very helpful when you're dealing with exponents. So first of all, let's talk about exponents. First of all, they would look something like this. You may have something like this, 3, and it's got a little 2 up here. Alright, just so we know, this little 2, that's the exponent. That tells you the power to raise this number, which is known as the base. So you're raising 3 to the second power. So this is also known as 3 squared. You could say it is 3 squared. If it were a 3 up here, then it would be 3 cubed. But in this one, we've got 3 squared. So we're raising the base to the second power. So what that is telling us to do is to take this base and multiply it by itself 2 times. And we know to do it 2 times because the exponent is a 2. If it were a 3, we'd multiply it by itself 3 times. So 3 squared is 3 times 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. So the answer to 3 squared is 9. Be very careful. I've seen students take 3 squared or something like that, and they try and multiply this number by that number, and they say, oh, 2 times 3, which is 6. That clearly is not the right answer. So don't do it that way. Be careful about that. This is telling you how many times to multiply the base by itself. And it's important to know what the base is. The base is this number here, not anything in front of it. So if you had, say, 2 x squared, you're squaring the x. This is the base, this is the exponent. This number in front of it that's multiplied by the base, that is known as the coefficient. The coefficient is multiplied by the variable, which is then raised to the power of the exponent. This will come into play particularly if you have a negative. So if you had a negative 3 squared, written like that, all that this 2, this exponent is raising to the second power the base, not the coefficient. That negative out in front is actually the coefficient. So the answer is the negative of 3 times 3, and so that's 3 times 3 is 9, so it's the negative 9. People are surprised because they feel, well, a negative times a negative is a positive, but in this case you're raising the base to the squared power. If you wanted to raise negative 3, then you would have to put the whole thing in parentheses such as that. So you've got parentheses negative 3, close parentheses, the whole thing squared. That is then telling you this is the exponent and the base is the entire item there that's in the parentheses. So that's the equivalent of negative 3 times negative 3. When negative times a negative is always a positive. When you're multiplying the same sign, it's always a positive. 3 times 3 is 9, so that would be a positive 9. Be careful to know the difference between that. One works out to be a negative 9, one works out to be a positive 9. If you are confused about that, watch this over and over a couple times and take a look at that and understand that the negative sign in front of there is actually the coefficient. If you don't understand that, you're going to run yourself into some trouble with some problems. Alright, I promised you I'd talk about the product rule, and that is dealing with when you're multiplying exponents, or multiplying bases that have exponents. Alright, so let's say you have a problem that looks like this. And again, I'm doing some that are easy, just to show you the process works. So let's say I have 2 cubed, that's 2 to the 3 power, and 2 to the 4th power, and I'm multiplying them. So this is 2 to the 3rd power times 2 to the 4th power. Okay, what you want to do is, first of all, I want to show you what this means. As I told you, the exponent raises the base. In other words, it multiplies itself that many times. So this part here is 2 times 2 times 2. Everyone agrees with that? 2 cubed is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2. I'm going to bring down this multiplication sign. The little dot is the multiplication. And then this base is 2 as well. And I've got to the 4th power. And that's very important that it's got the same base. So that's the same as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. In other words, 4 more times. So this part is here. That part is over here. I can rewrite this as 2 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2 to the 7th power. And 2 to the 7th power, if you put that into your calculator, is equal to 128. A lot of times you have to put that in your calculator by putting the base number, and then some calculators have a button that's got the little caret symbol, looks like that, and then you put in the exponent and then hit the equal sign, and that would give you the 128. So if you're confused about that, look at the manual for your calculator, and that'll help you understand how to do this. But what we did right here is we proved something called the product rule for exponents. The product rule states that where a to some power, m, is multiplied by a to some other power, n, the answer is going to be a to the m plus n. This, what I just stated, is the product rule for exponents. Product rule for exponents. And you see it's true, because 3 plus 4 is 7, and that's what we wound up with. So that is showing you that it is true, and it works. The thing that you've got to be careful about, and this is critically important, is that the base is the same, a, and the base remains the same over here. And we don't multiply the bases together, we just have the base and the base is written again. It's all about the base, folks. And then you take the exponent and you add it to the other exponent. And that is going to give you your final answer. And if your instructor wants you to calculate it out, throw it into the calculator. So we can do this even with variables. So if I had x to the 5th power times x to the 9th power, my base is x, my exponent here is 5, and my exponent over here is 9. So since we have the same base, x and x, I can apply the product rule. So I've got the base x, and then I'm going to add the exponents, 5 plus 9. And my final answer is going to be the same base, and 5 plus 9 is 14. So x to the 14th power is the answer. Let's try one more. Let's say I had x squared times y squared. What is that going to work out to be? Make sure you apply the product rule. Ah, you're right. We cannot apply the product rule. Why? Because our bases are different. This is x and this is y. So our answer is just going to be the same, x squared, y squared. We can't do anything to it. The bases have to be the same to apply the product rule. So don't forget that. Critically important for the product rule for exponents. Alright, I hope you found this helpful. That's how you work with those type problems. Again, this is Professor Capko. If you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, please click the thumbs up. If you have other questions or another type of problem you want solved, go ahead and put it right in the comments section under the video. And don't forget, Professor Capko says, keep your grade alive and subscribe. Until next time, this is Professor Capko.